Hello, Chris from My Stamp Lady. I'm here today with the Oh So Eclectic set, and it's a bundle that comes with, at a discount, if you purchase both pieces, you get a discount. The Eclectic layers thinless dies, and they coordinate wonderfully. Quick note, a couple of these dies, this one here, and this one for sure, just leave impressions. And this heart, they do not cut all the way through. They just leave like an embossed design on your cardstock. And a fun set. You can do so much with it in such a variety. And the Happy Birthday Gorgeous and the sentiments that are included in this are just so wonderful. I love them. I'm also using the Pretty label. I'm going to do a couple of fun different techniques. We're going to work with some spritzing. I'm going to work with some sponging. So I have my cardstock already cut. You can find all the dimensions and the products I've used on my blog at mystamplady.com. And I'll have a printable PDF there for you also. So this is my background. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to set that aside. I'm not doing anything with that yet. And a couple of other Whisper White background or pieces that I'll need. So I'm going to start off with these two pieces here. And this one is 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And this one I'm starting with my sponge brayers. I like these sponge brayers. They're really nice to work with. And I have some Emerald Envy and Night of Navy cardstock. I'm going to create an ombre technique with this and the sponge brayers. So we'll start with the Emerald Envy. And there's a couple ways to use these brayers. You can either roll them and get your Emerald Envy on there. I actually get a bit impatient, maybe I could call it. I don't like doing the rolling until it gets, and I kind of like to just kind of hold it in place with my finger, just like this, and tapping it off. So maybe I get that first layer rolled on there, and then go in and add some ink to make it a little bit deeper. This is my favorite way to use these particular sponge brayers. Now these are, I'm going to leave the center white, so that's how it's kind of an ombre effect. It's getting darker, or I'm going to use navy and Emerald Envy. Oh, throwing cardstock around here. Okay, so then I'm going to do the same thing here. Get it started by rolling it, and I want to leave a portion of the center white, and then I'm just tapping it onto my ink pad, and then kind of sponging it like this over to get it a little deeper and darker. And I have created a piece of paper, kind of background type paper here with that. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. Okay, for my next step, I'm taking this particular die from the die set, and I'm going to position it about right up in that upper corner. I have cut my cardstock down so that the die kind of just fits exactly on here. And so that's the dimension that's on my printable PDF. If you want to not work so closely with it, you can make it larger and then cut it down. Okay, I'm going to run that through the Big Shot. And that's what it looks like with the first one cut out. And now I'm just kind of positioning it right next to it. And again, on the magnetic platform, I will put this down and run it through the Big Shot. So this is what I'm going to end up with. And I want to make this lemon lime twist. So what I've done is I've taken a Stampin' Spritzer. I put about 10 drops of lemon lime ink refill and filled the rest a high alcohol concentration rubbing alcohol. And the reason I use the high concentration is because it will dry more quickly. And you can use water. Water would work just fine, but the rubbing alcohol dries more quickly. Okay, so there we go. And I'm going to let this dry. While that's drying, we'll go on and do some other stamping here. So I have, first of all, I'm going to take the Night of Navy, and from that Happy Birthday Gorgeous, I am inking up the Happy Birthday, and I'll stamp that Night of Navy. And then I have the little flower, dropping flowers from the Oh So Eclectic set. And with Lemon Lime Twist, I'm going to just stamp these across. And one thing I did is I stamped some of them at full strength, some second generation stamping without re-inking it, just to get some variation in there. And With this particular one, I don't have to go through the big shot because I am using this pretty label die. Punch. So let's just position that inside, centered inside that punch, and punch that out. Okay. And then I will take this piece here. So now I want an Emerald Envy leaf. So we'll do that. We'll do an Emerald Envy leaf. I am going to do a Blushing Bride round flower background. And there are coordinating dies for all of these pieces in the set. And then with Berry Burst, I will do the tall flower. This has a coordinating piece, a coordinating image to just add some color to that top. But I don't want it quite as dark as the rest of it, so I'm just gonna eye this and we'll add that little bit of color around there. So I stamped it onto my scrap paper so it would be a bit lighter. Now from the die set, I'll pick out the coordinating dies and run this through the Big Shot. I am going to use these two dies. So if I were just to use this detailed die, it would not cut it out of the Fresh Fig cardstock. It would just cut the design into it. But I want it to cut out, so I'm using this frame die, and I'm just lining them up like this together on the cardstock. You want to make sure that when you run this through the Big Shot, that your dies are not overlapping. If they are overlapping, you're going to ruin your die. So make sure that they're not overlapping, but they're sitting inside of each other, and then run this through the Big Shot. Okay, so this is what you end up with when you run that through together. So now I have my piece that's dry, and I noticed I spritzed it a little bit heavier up here, but I get asked, well, don't you have lemon lime twist? And we do. I feel like it's a little bit softer look. You can make it a little bit softer, and I kind of like the variation in color, and that's why I spritz it rather than just using the solid cardstock. And actually, I did get this a little bit dark. If you're not happy with that, that's fine. We're going to see what it looks like, but I have some lighter areas in there. And if you want it lighter, just be sure you water down your ink a little bit more rather than having it so strong. You can just add a little bit less refill. Okay, so let's put my die cut piece right onto that sponged piece. I just added some fast fuse there. And you'll notice that this is cut smaller than the background piece. So let's put this down. And now I have that Emerald Envy and that Night of Navy peeking through. I'm going to put a mini glue dot. I got it kind of close to the edge there, so I'm just going to use a mini glue dot down there. Then I'm going to wrap my Berry Burst ribbon. This is the crinkled ribbon around my two pieces and tie a bow just to add that underneath. Now, one tip about tying is if I make sure that I don't glue it down to the card back right away, or leave this portion underneath loose, I can always adjust where my bow is. But if I put some adhesive underneath here, of course, then I won't be able to move it. And the reason why I might want to move it is because when I put that Happy Birthday down, I might want to tuck it up closer to it. So let's get my bow tied. I trimmed off those tails. Before I put this onto the card background, I am going to finish putting my pieces in here so that I know exactly how they fit on here before I glue it down to my background. So I'm just coordinating or lining that up. Let's put a mini glue dot under the center there. And we have a soft background for that front. I am going to put down my leaf image here. I tuck the leaf image right underneath the ribbon. Let's put this solid flower. I may want to pull in my Happy Birthday to see where that's going to sit to help me kind of adjust where I'll put this flower. And I think I'll put that about there. Okay, and let's see, so this is kind of the process I go through when I'm assembling a card, is just figuring out, so I'm going to move my bow over just a little bit. There we go. Put some dimensionals on the back side of this. A couple of dimensionals. So that'll stand up. There, I like that. And a couple more mini glue dots on the back of this one. There we go. Tuck that under there. So I have kind of a jewel-toned birthday card here. And now I can just mount this with some fast fuse over the card stock, or the card base. Oh, I'll just place that down there. Okay. And let's place a few of the rhinestone jewels just across the front to draw your eye across the front of the card. And that's pretty much it for this card. If you have any questions about what I've done, be sure to contact me, Chris, at mystamplady.com. The printable PDF is available on my website at mystamplady.com. Under this, you can find the link down in the description below. And you can also find all the supplies listed in the description, and they're available on my website, shopwithmystamplady.com. Thanks for watching.